Hey guys, Evan from Stock Music Musician, and I'm so happy today to have been invited to make this video for Reason Talk. I've always been a huge fan of the site. I've learned so much from the site. And more importantly, I've learned so much from Giles, who's also known as Selig, and it's the same word forwards and backwards is what I realized. And so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to review his coloring EQ today. And so in this video, what I'm going to do is show you a few demos of the coloring EQ, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what it does, and also just work our way through some of the features that it includes. And I'm just going to let you know right up front, there'll be a link down below in the article to download some free patches that I made for the coloring EQ, or you can visit stockmusicmusician.com/Selig EQ to download those. stockmusicmusician.com/Selig EQ. So let's quickly take a listen to this track. It's still a work in progress. It's like an 80s synth thing, funk synth. Alright, so you get the picture. So let's start out with just putting the EQ on the drums. And let's also just talk a little bit about the EQ itself. Kind of take a look at what's actually under the hood. The first thing I'll say actually is that there's tons of good presets here that are very well organized, which is a pet peeve of mine, getting a bunch of presets that aren't well organized. So this one here is a Combinator patch, but down here is the main body of it. From left to right, you'll see you've got the ability to do stereo or mid-side, and to do mid-side, you just need to use multiple instances of the EQ, one set to mid only and one set to side only, I believe. Then you're going to have this graphic spectrum here. You can also hold it so that you can get a sort of an overall sense, and you can turn it off for the sake of saving CPU power. Then you've got the ability to actually control with your keyboard or with MIDI data where these filters are set. So like what you could do is set, like let's say you've got an 808 bass or an 808 kicker, which is also kind of like a bass, and so often it's sort of this hybrid sound, but you've also got sort of a low-end patch that you're dealing with. Well, what you can do is you could have your 808 track and then copy that same MIDI note data to the coloring EQ's channel, so that this notch would move every time the 808 hit, and reduce the low end frequency on the pad in the same spot that the 808 was hitting, on the same note that the 808 was hitting, so that the 808 can get through on its fundamental, but the pad will still have its full body. So that's really a cool and powerful feature that you can do with this. Then over here we have the actual graphical equalizer. You can adjust any of these however you want, and also the ability to filter the saturation on it. So like if you don't, we'll talk about saturation in a second, but if you don't want the saturation to apply to everything, then you can use these filters here to cut it out. Over on the right, we've got this great gain meter here, just like I think on the Selig gain meter itself. Inputs, outputs, peak holds. You've got the harmonic control so that you are either doing low frequencies or high frequencies, and we'll just take a quick listen to that. It kind of has a different effect on the, well, we have to actually apply some more. On the tone and the color of the EQ. And then you have the ability to turn the EQ on or off for each channel, and the saturation on or off for each channel. And so now you'll see here are the 7 channels. They're a little bit different. The ones on the ends are more like filters, and then the ones in the middle are more traditional EQs. And so you can choose where these go on the routing. The ones on the end and the filters you have to choose from are low pass, high pass, band reject, and comb. So you can do some interesting effects already built into it. And the great thing about these filters here is that you have a variable slope, which you don't really get with the stock Reason filters, from really steep to really gentle, non-existently gentle. And then you can use the Q to kind of add a, let's just tune this up and turn you off. The Q to get kind of a notch right where you bring it in, which is a typical feature found in a lot of them. Then when you get to the regular bands of EQ, you'll find you have an individual drive channel, and then a ton of parametric shapes to choose from. Shelving, different shelving shapes, different parametric shapes, high shelving, tilting, smiley, everything, the whole kit and the caboodle all at once. So let's just listen to the drum colorizer on it, and we'll see how quickly you can make some great sounds. And I think a lot of this has to do with just the saturation kicking in addition to well-chosen locations on presets. I'm usually not a big fan of EQ presets because I think that a lot of instruments are unique, but this works really well. So. I hope you have a good set of headphones on because that thing is rattling really well. But we'll back it off. And then if we go to the snare section, you actually hear a lot of resonance there. So let's cut it there and then add a bit of sizzle. And so let's bypass it real quick. Probably too much sizzle. And so you don't want to really EQ by itself, but I'm just doing it to show you here in this example. And let's listen to that without saturation, with and without saturation. I think you'll hear that it's way tighter and more focused. So now let's add it on a bass just real quick, we won't do too many more of these, but I just want to show you some of the ideas, starting points. Nope. Well, all right, I'll show you that he's modeled, not modeled, but has EQs based on some of the classic templates, SSLs and Pultecs, and I think what they're really doing there is just mirroring where the EQ points were, not the way that they process saturation or anything like that. But they definitely, like on the Pultec, it seems like you've got those overlapping bands and fun things like that. So let's go to instruments, and why don't we try tilt bass on these basses and see. High pass. Shelf down just a bit. And saturate this low end. And we can solo a section. So this can be really helpful. It might be hard to hear, but so we're just hearing this band here. switch you to parametric. And gain you up just a bit. So a lot of fun stuff you can do with this. You can see it's really fast and intuitive. These patches offer a really good starting point. That's what I always like to see in patches, and that's what I do when I make my own patches, is try and get a good starting point that you can dial in quickly. And so let's just look at some of the things that come with it. You've got some flangers and a chorus, some really cool color, very colorful effects, and then some classic notching and hum removal, and a bunch of other just really powerful things. I've been enjoying the Selig EQ a lot. I definitely recommend you go download the demo from the Propellerheads shop today and mess around with it. It's got a lot of powerful features that you don't see elsewhere in Reason, at least natively. And I want to thank Reason Talk for inviting me to make this. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can get your free ColoringEQ patches if you just visit Stock Music Musician.